Welcome to Tech News Briefing. It's Tuesday, September 5th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Over the past decade, China's internet giants drove much of the country's tech economy. Now, electric vehicle and battery makers are taking the driver's seat. Some of the industry's main players are attracting investment from venture capital and sovereign wealth funds. And they're pulling in some of China's top engineers, who might have previously looked for jobs at internet companies like Alibaba or Tencent. With me to talk about the growth of this sector and why it matters beyond China is our reporter Lisa Lin. So Lisa, can you tell us a bit about China's current EV market? How has it gotten to where it is today?
Sure. China's EV market is the world's largest EV market, and it's the world's largest EV market not by accident, but by design. Because around 2010, the Chinese government decided that they were going to nurture a clean, green vehicle market. And to do so, it put in place a ton of consumer subsidies and other incentives to get people in China buying these EVs. So fast forward to 13 years ahead, China's made about 20 million EVs, and right now, it's really the world's leading market, not just in the technologies that go into electric vehicles, but like the technologies that go into batteries of electric vehicles, which are the most important component of these cars.
For people who might not be tracking the Chinese EV industry so closely, what are some of the big names people should be aware of?
Right now, Zoe, there are lots of brands in the space. You see a lot of new marquees when you walk on the streets in China. You see brands like BYD, you see NIO, you see XPeng, you see Li Autos. A ton of these are domestic brands that have sprung up over the last 5 to 6 years. So right now the space is very, very competitive, but what analysts tell us is that consolidation is happening and you're starting to see winners pull away from the pack. And in particular, you're seeing BYD and the American car maker Tesla pull away from its other competitors.
So pull away, we've got our car metaphor there, but in business terms, how fast are these companies and I guess this sector generally growing?
The sector is growing at a rapid clip, and that's because a ton of investment has been going into the industry. Venture capital and private equity that went into the electric vehicle and related space last year hit $15 billion. And that's a record for the sector. And it's also come as venture capital flows in general into China has been very depressed because China's economy was really badly hit last year by zero COVID. And when you have all this investment coming in, there's a lot of excitement in the space. Consumers are also willing to try out the cars, and there's a long-term idea of moving towards cleaner energy vehicles anyway, plus targets set by the Chinese government that by a certain point, the bulk of the cars sold have to be electric. So all this is really spurring the rapid growth of the sector.
Lisa, if I don't live in China, if I'm not an investor in the Chinese EV market, should this growth matter to me?
Yes, it should. And for a really simple reason. Because Chinese electric vehicles and Chinese marquees and brands, they're coming to your doorstep. They're coming to your dealership. What we've seen over the last 1 year is Chinese EV brands have taken the chance, particularly as European and Western governments have started to put in place more stringent climate change goals and targets, in particular for gasoline engines. We're actually seeing Chinese EV makers jump at the chance to expand overseas. And in the past, Chinese automakers, because they didn't have the right products, would often go into developing countries such as Africa or South America. But what you're seeing with the EV companies is they're going into places like Germany. They're setting up dealerships in the UK. They're setting up dealerships also in the US. And all this means that you might be driving next to a Chinese BYD car or a Chinese NIO car pretty soon.
All right, that's our reporter, Lisa Lin. Thanks for joining us, Lisa. Before we go, do you have a question about the EV market? Record a voice memo on your phone and email it to tnb@wsj.com, and we might be able to answer it on an upcoming show. That's it for Tech News Briefing. Today's show was produced by me, your host Zoe Thomas, with Deputy Editor Chris Sinsley. For more tech stories, check out the Wall Street Journal's website, wsj.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening.